is a doubly linked list, which we have covered a couple of days back. Now, the Unit 3 search tree, basically binary search tree, definition, implementation, operations, searching, insertion, and deletion. And there are various methods such as AVL trees, definition, height of AVL tree, operations, that is insertion, deletion, and such. Red, black, and split trees. This is what is these are the topics which are there spreading your unit 3. Now, before that, as we had decided that before going for unit 3, I think it was Rohan who was suggesting, and good, I'd like to know about big O notation, because as you go for the interview, the one of the key factors of you getting selected in your dream company is the how efficient you write your algorithm, right? How efficient you write your algorithm based on space complexity and time complexity, space and time complexity. So that space and time complexity we have already seen. Now, very specific big O notation. At times, I have made mentions about this is big O n, this is big O 1, and there were a lot of voids. I mean, some of the students, what is this big O business, right? So I appreciate that some students are wanting to know all the details. Though Rohan came forward and reminded me, but I personally feel students, in fact, any faculty of our college will like those students who would like to come forward and say, sir, we want to learn this, right? And it's your right to ask for learning something which is relevant, and it's our duty to give you what you are expected to know. So neither we are favoring you nor you are demanding too much, or you are not demanding something which is not required. Okay, so please go ahead. Any such things are most welcome. Big O notation, it is used in computer science to describe the performance or complexity of an algorithm, right? The primary thing is your thinking. What I'm talking about algorithm. Algorithm is the most basic. Whether you learn Pascal, you learn C, C++, Java, or any other language, PHP or whatever language, which may be the prevalent language when you join the company. But the first and the foremost step is the algorithm. Okay. But before I proceed, students, I suppose you are able to hear me clear. Able to see the screen, and my voice is loud and clear, I suppose. Okay, looks like there's no issue regarding the audio. So how you think, how you think is the first factor, and that is what is your algorithm. Unfortunately, the practice has become ancient and age old, or not actually ancient and age old. It's very much prevalent, but it's very boring when the faculty says that before you start coding, you first write the algorithm or draw the flowchart, right? Or DFD diagrams or case studies, right? But actually, that is the correct way. First, your algorithm. I mean, your logical thinking should your firstly your thinking should be logical, right? The moment the thinking is logical, the it is the question of replacing your logic with the appropriate language syntax. That's it. So first and foremost is your algorithm, and this algorithm is platform independent, is language independent. So algorithm has to be firstly clear and very logically put. The big O specifically describes the worst case scenario and can be used to describe what the execution time required and also the space complexity, right? So this big O notation takes care of both the space complexity and the time complexity. While I was talking about the worst case, one of the students said the survive worst case. Why not best case? Okay, so the logic behind this is that if you cater for the worst condition, then the algorithm is more and more refined. If you are catering for the best condition, there is a possibility of worst condition. There is a possibility of worst condition. So that's the reason why, for example, while we were studying what we were studying, say, open chaining, there's a time, is there no possibility of collision? And then we ourselves realize that even if I increase the size of an array to double, triple, four times, right, still there is a possibility of collision. So collision resolution has to be considered, right? So when collision can occur, no matter the hash table is a much more refined data structure compared to your arrays, but still there is a possibility of some issues. So we need to, if you consider the worst case in normal in day-to-day life also, worst case for corona, right? What will happen if corona stays in the world for next 2 years, right? Will the engineering students pass out without even coming to the college? The present your batch, if it continues to 2 years, so probably thinking is going on these lines. So if we consider the worst case and we plan for that worst case, then other things are easily taken care of. Therefore, big O notation is going to consider the worst case. Now, the code is in front of you. I want all of you to execute the code on your systems. I want all of you to execute this code on your systems. As you see the code, the time for execution is almost calculated. The time for execution is almost calculated. Hash include time.h. Now this time.h header file is going to have some built-in functions such as clock underscore t and clock method. So these are some of the methods which are going to help you in finding out the time required to execute a function. As you see the logic, I am calling print underscore value function from the main function. I am calling print underscore values function from the main and passing 100 as a parameter, which is of integer data type. So the second step, that is t, I'm talking about the main function. T is equal to clock is going to take the current at the time of execution. When this statement is executed, what's the time? That is stored in t. And as you see the fourth statement, that is float difference is equal to typecasting it to float clock minus t, right? So before I call this function, I have taken the time, and after the function is called, after the function returns back to the main function, the time, the clock time, right? That is the difference here. And we are printing the diff, that is the difference, right? Difference between the call to return that gives us how much time is taken for executing this function, which has got one for loop, which is running 100 times. Anybody who has executed? Raghavendra, what is the output? How much time? Okay, do it. Do it. Anybody who executes last output, that is a diff. Last output, that is a diff. Please type it out. How much is your time? 52 is the Rohan's time. Okay. I want is SP Karthik from CSCC, Raghavendra 48. Good. SP Karthik 055E. SP Karthik, are you there? CSCE. Sorry, CSCC. One more call for SP Karthik, CSCC. A055E. Are you there in the class? You are logged in. Last call for SP Karthik, CSCC. 1A055E. Looks like he has just logged in and gone to sleep or left the class. Pujita, CSCE. A0599. Sanjana 85. Okay. With the nanoseconds time you are getting. Pujita, SVS Pujita from CSCE. Please come to the chat window. 44. Okay. So I would suggest all the students Raghavendra, Sanjana, and all those who have executed, please execute it one more time. And are you getting the same time or different time? Please check. Please run your code. Pujita. Oh, okay. Good, Pujita. It's changing, sir. That is the what my point is. It is changing. Now, at the same time, and for example, Pujita, then Sanjana, then Rohan, then Raghavendra, they are working on different machines. They are working on different machines. So different machines are executing the same code, exactly same code. I'm sure none of you have added something different than what I have written. And every time you are running, it is changing. Every time you are running, it is changing, right? So that is exactly what the resource allocation, the resource which are required for resources which are required for printing, the resources which are required for the variables, the what I call when you are calling the function print underscore value, the stack creation, and the response from the stack. All these factors are coming into the play, and different times you are running, you are getting the different means on the same machine also you are getting the different responses, right? So keeping this at the background, keeping this as the background, this execution time, as all of you have seen, those who have executed at least, this execution time is clock difference code. You run it again 3 times, and 3 times you have seen, or more than one time, you are getting different results, right? So your results may be different. For example, I ran on my machine, which is 64-bit Windows 10, first time 49, second time 63, third time 57, so on and so forth. So then when I have asked you to execute on your machines and asked you to execute 3 times, you also started getting different time, right? So this is the fact. This is the fact. So you will, every time you run, you may get the same execution time or maybe less or more execution time. This is where, since this is the fact, so we have to consider the worst case. That's the reason why we have to consider the worst case. So that is what this big O notation comes into play, right? They provide us with a mathematical foundation for representing running time of our algorithm consistently, right? So since we know this is the fact that the running times are different on different machines. So the algorithm, worst case, how much time it will take, right? And looking at the code, can we refine our code so that the time factor is reduced to the minimum possible? You cannot make it every time in 1 microsecond every time. No, it may not be possible because there are several factors as I just told you. So we create this consistency by talking about operations our code has to perform, right? Now, if you take the consider, if you just consider the code which all of you have just executed, there are several things which are required to be executed, right? Anybody? What are the considerations? Pujita, CSE, SP Karthik, if you have woken up, when you executed this code, what are the considerations for execution of this code? Pujita, SP, Karthik, only respond. Others, please wait. CSE, SVS, Pujita, are you there? Please quickly respond. What are the considerations, Pujita, for executing that code? If we are getting some time, we are calling the function is processing, and function is giving some output. So between the call and the output, there was a delay. So this delay, I want you to think, what are the considerations for this delay? Why not in a microsecond, in 1 microsecond, I got the result. Time for execution for loop. Good, very good, Pujita. Yeah, I'm happy. Charan, any other? Pujita has given one example as loop, and she has picked up the very good point. Sai Charan from CSEA. Sai Charan from CSEA. Any other consideration? Pujita, you also can continue to add on one of the good points you have suggested. Yes, Sai Charan, CSEA. Keep trying, Sai Charan. There is no harm. She has given you a lead. Sai Charan said memory, read and write. Yeah. Okay. Nobody can deny that memory, read and write, of course, is the factor. But looking at the code, see, we are talking about the algorithm. So let us, of course, memory, read and write is a valid point. But looking at the code, like how Pujita specifically said for execution of the loop. Okay. So the factors which we can consider is that what are the operations a code may perform. If either this example or any other example, maybe memory read, maybe operations such as an array lookups. In this, our example, there is no array, but in case there is an array, so base address of the array has to be found out and look up in the array, means go by index of the array. Okay. Then number of iterations in loop, as SVS Pujita has said, that this particular code has a loop. So 100 times the iteration is performed. right? So it's going to add to the delay from the time I submitted the parameter to a function, and by the time the function responds back, it has gone 100 times over and over again. So that is what probably SVS is trying to say. Then finally, on the output device also, you say, have to print. So as Charan is saying, the read and write, memory required for read and write. And writing is the slowest of all because the our screen on which the printout has to come is very slow in comparison to the RAM speed. So that is one point to be considered. And variable assignment, right? Every time I is equal to 0, I less than end, that is we pass 100. So that memory has to get refreshed. So that's what Sai Charan is trying to say, that memory read and write. So every time it is trying to refresh. So these are the considerations. So why we are talking about that is that when you are writing the algorithm, even if somebody can write in two loops, right? Or the other one can write in one loop, right? If you can squeeze it and write in one loop, the one loop operation is definitely half the time the two loop operation, or in that one loop inside one another loop is one more consideration. If I can reduce one loop, I'm trying to make my program more faster, right? So that's the reason why I wanted you to think that what could be the considerations. Now, if we are if we were to change the input value of print underscore value, that is the end which we pass 100, our print statement would be exercised more or less depending on the value that is given as an input, isn't it? If I increase the input to 1000, obviously the loop time will increase. If I increase the input to 1, the loop time will considerably reduce, right? So in short, more or less, it is linearly dependent. Higher the parameter of end which I am passing in the code, higher is the time taken to execute the loop, right? Lower I pass, so it is linearly dependent. If we were to put this into an arithmetic expression, we would get 10,000 plus 1. Suppose 10,000 is what end value which I have sent. Last time you have said 100. Now this time suppose I send 10,000. So 10,000 times the loop is going to run, right? And when it returns the value one time, the time required to print the result. That's what 10,000 plus 1. So 10,000 plus 1 using intuition, we know that 10,000 is variable on the input size. If we call the input value n, we now have the expression reduced to n plus 1 times, right? So compared to 10,000, 1 being insignificant, we can easily bring down our approximation to n. So the time taken to require time taken to execute the loop, time taken to execute the loop is linearly proportional or linearly dependent on the parameter which we are passing, right? So compared to 10,000, 1 being least or 1 being insignificant, so we can easily ignore this 1 as the factor. That's what I'm trying to bring. The worst case running time of print value is O n plus 1, n for the loop block and 1 for the print statement, right? The constant value 1 is pretty insignificant at the side of the variable value n, right? If it is only 1, then 1 becomes very significant, but we have to take the worst case. We are always considering the worst case. Even after 10, compared to 10, 1 is definitely significant, but compared to 1000, 1 is insignificant, or 10,000, 1 is insignificant. So if we consider the worst case, 1 becomes pretty insignificant. So we simply reduce the above expression to On, right? We simply reduce the above expression to On. Now, there were several factors, the printing, the memory read, the memory write, the assignment of the variable constantly changing as far as loop is getting executed. Of all these steps or of all these considerations, the most significant factor is the loop. As therefore, I liked when SVS Pujita, of all the points, she straight away came down to the very important point, that is the loop, right? So the execution time of your code is straight away proportional to the loop, and this is what you need to identify. All of you are the engineering students. So what we are trying to do is, firstly, we are trying to write an algorithm. That is the basic part of it. Then we are trying to refine our algorithm. And thirdly, we are trying to convert our algorithm into a mathematical model, right? We are going to convert this algorithm into mathematical model. This mathematical model, this mathematical model, as you are seeing over here, n plus 1, right? N for number of iteration, 1 for printing, right? So when we are reducing our entire code into a mathematical model, n plus 1, and then we are saying that the loop being the most significant and print happens only once, which is a constant factor, which is a constant factor. So the response time is directly proportional to the value of n, right? Value of n. Therefore, I'm reducing the entire algorithm into one small mathematical model, and that conversion of your algorithm into a mathematical model is what is all about the big O notation. What is all about the big O notation? So going forward, in our code, prints each and every, as our code prints each and every value from 0 to the input, as the loop is the most significant part of the code, we are able to say that our code is of running time on. This O is referred as big O. This O is referred as big O, therefore the name big O notation. Therefore the name is big O notation, where n is a variable to determine the number of times the loop is iterating. An algorithm of running time on is said to be linear because as the n value increases, the time increases, right? Is said to be linear, which essentially means the algorithm's running time will increase linearly with its input n, right? So, in the performance analysis, that is the time complexity, the operations counts. In one way, to estimate the time complexity of a program or a method, select one or more operations such as add, multiply, and compare, right? For counting the time complexity, right? Or for making your program more efficient, means the program execution time should reduce significantly. That is what is time complexity. So you should be able to identify that how many operations are there. Is there an add operation? Is there a multiplication operation? Is there a comparison operations? So that is the first thing. Find out how many times each operation is done. Determine which operation adds most to the time complexity, right? There are certain things which are constant. For example, in text, assignment operator 5, semicolon, right? Now, once the compilation process is over, now this is not going to matter at all as far as our code is concerned, because the memory allocation has already been done, the value has been stored. So that is a constant factor. Every time I run, that is going to be constant value. So that is not going to drastically affect my execution time, right? So you have to determine which operation adds most to the time complexity. Now consider the following. Determine the index of max number in an array, right? This is the code and this is the method. This is the code and this is the method. Just go through it and then we'll talk about it. Just go through it, simple code, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. Now, in the main function, I have created an array, initialized that array with 5 values. Also initialized the variable num with 5 and one more variable max index, that is short for max int, initialized with 0. Now I'm calling this function. I'm passing the base address of an array through this A that goes over here, and I'm also passing the number of elements in the array, that is the size of an array. Now in this logic, if the value of n happens to be 0 or less than that, then I'm just printing number of elements in an array should be greater than 0, right? So if it is not, then we are finding out, we are written a logic to find out the at what index we have the maximum, number, right? So this is a simple code. Now any code which is coming in front of you, you should be able to first find out what what are the factors which are going to be most significant, right? So let's do this analysis with the example at the background. In this previous example, that is that finding out the value at maximum at what index the max number is there. So in the previous example, how many operations are involved in the function maxval, right? The first is we are initializing with a constant value. Then I is equal to 1, initializing I, right? We are comparing also I less than n, that is the comparison. Incrementing the value of I every time when we are in the loop, then again a comparison, n less than or equal to 0, and then the loop is running n number of times. The loop is running starting from 0 less than n, so n number of times the loop is running, right? So the key operations as you are seeing it on top are 6 as listed above. So from these six, we have to bring down into a kind of a mathematical model, and the most significant, operation which is going to consume maximum time should be considered. So when n is greater than 1, each iteration of the for loop makes one comparison between two elements, isn't it? And the total number of elements are compared n minus 1 times. The time complexity is determined by the loop, which is the key factor of the comparisons made between two elements of the array for n minus 1 times, right? So we cannot ignore any step. We have to give a serious thought and then find out which is the key factor in in all the operations which are required to be performed while executing the code. Now the second one, if we include operation 1 to 5, right? Because they have to be taken into consideration, and then we need to find out. Therefore, I put it in green that if we include operations 1 to 5 as listed above in our count, then the count will increase by a constant factor. Means the time taken for the loop and time taken for the performance of 1 to 5 operations as listed above, right? So so since it is something which is constant, can be ignored. That's what we are going to finally come to the conclusion. Something which is constant can be ignored because that constant anyhow is going to be there. But what is going to be most significant is the loop and how many times the loop is going to be iterated. So in typical usage, the formal definition of O notation is not used directly. Rather, the O notation for a function fx is derived by the following simplification rules. Please try to understand these rules. If fx is the sum of several terms, the one with the largest growth rate is kept and all others are normalized. I'm giving a pause so that let this particular step, which point I want all of you to think and digest it. Fx is the sum of several terms. Those several terms, you have to reduce it into some mathematical expression. Fx is the sum of several terms. The one with the largest growth rate, right, is kept and others are normalized. What do you understand by normalized? Sai Karthik? Okay. Sai Prajwal? Go ahead. Yeah, hit the chord. Sai Karthik, C, CSCA. In the above statement, if fx is a sum of several terms, the one with the largest growth rate is kept and all others are normalized. Prajwal says ignore, and not Sai Karthik, Sai Charan. Sai Charan, CSCA. K. Sai Prajwal says ignored. S. Aditya, CSCD. Anyone? Okay. Anybody else? What do you understand by this? Others are normalized. Yes, please. Anybody? Raghavendra, generalized. Neglected. Bhavana will not be considered in effects. Okay, good. Good. So generally, you are thinking on the right lines. I would have been happy if the names which I called had they responded. Neglected. Right. Correct. So normalized means what? Normalized means ignored. Right. The most significant is kept for the simple reason that the growth rate, the growth rate is is being dictated by this particular say code, part of the code, and compared to the growth rate of that particular part of the code, the others are insignificant. Therefore, they are normalized. So by normalized, we mean as Sai Prajwal was very correctly in the first code itself, he said ignored, very correct. Others say neglected, all are synonyms. So fx is a product of several factors. Any constants, that is the terms in the product that do not depend on x, right? Fx is what? The function is going to depend on x, right? The constants are not going to vary the function, right? The loop time is not going to change if the initialization of the index value is 0, right? So the number of times the loop is going to get iterated is what going to change this loop time. So that is what is fx. So the constant factors are ignored for this particular reason. So fx is the product of several factors. Any constants, that is terms in the product that do not depend on x, are normalized. Okay. So if fx is the product of several factors, any constant terms in the product that do not depend on x are normalized. So let me take one arithmetic expression to explain, right? Probably still I'm not able to convince all the minds which are thinking, right? How should I convert this algorithm into an arithmetic expression or something which can be converted into a mathematical model, right? Is the very say pertinent question, right? So let me first start with what we know, and then we'll go to actually taking the code and converting our code into a mathematical model. So for example, let us suppose we wish to simplify a function, right, using the O notation. The expression is a simple expression, 6x to the power of 4 minus 2x cube plus 5, right? Now, as you see, if we, Raghavendra is saying, if we consider ax plus b for linear dependency, b would be a constant and would be of On. Then how are we ignoring it? Yes, I'm coming to that. Raghavendra, your question will be answered in this example which I'm taking or the other examples which we'll be taking very shortly. Okay, so hold the line. I'm not ignoring your question. Your question is very much at the back of my mind. So your question, the first question, answer is in this example itself. So there are three parts here, 6x to the power of 4, 2x cube and 5. Which is the most significant here? If I ask you, x to the power of 4, Meghana, Rohan, x4, 6x4, Durga Prakash. Okay, others hold 6x4 and x4, Meghana. Would you continue still with x to the power of 4 or 6x4, Meghana? Meghana Desai, you gave the first answer, x to the power of 4. Durga Prakash has added 6 into x to the power of 4. Would you consider 6 as significant? Would you like to change? Oh, good. So, fine. That's the way the debate should go. That I said, and I stand by it, and I can justify. That's what Meghana is trying to say. That 6 is a constant, right? So 6 is not affecting my x to the power of 4. 6 is not affecting my x to the power of 4. X changes, right? X changes. 6 is going to remain constant. So 6 is the basic factor. That's what probably Meghana is trying to say. Let's consider this. Let's go ahead with this. Now there are three parts here, 6x4, 2x cube and 5, right? Now suppose I take the value of x as 5. Suppose I take the value of x as 5. 5 is a constant. So as such we can normalize it. As such I can neglect it. So out of the three parts, one part is gone. Raghavendra, I suppose you are listening when you say ax plus b. So b is a constant. So as such, straight away, phi is a b. So y as such I ignore. Now, assume that x value is 5. So x cubed is 125, whereas x to the power of 4 is 625. Right? Huge difference. Now I increase x to 22. X cube is 10,648 and x to the power of it is 2,34,256. Right? Right? So now compared to x to the power of 4, this x cube now started looking insignificant, right? So that is what we are trying to say. That is what is we are looking at is that's what we are looking at. That this x is going to be the fx is going to be determined by x to the power of 4, not 6 into x to the power of 4, right? So of these terms, the one with the highest growth rate, the one with the highest, see exponentially, x to the power of 4, x to the power of 4, 3 is also going exponentially, but between these two, the highest growth rate of x to the power of 4 is more steep, more steep. So that is going to be the most significant part. So 6x to the power of 4. Now one may apply the second rule. 6x to the power of 4 is a product of 6 and x to the power of 4, in which the first factor does not depend on x. Durga Prakash, you are still holding your line that sir 6x to the power of 4 has a significant effect. I agree. But what is the value of x? Just now I gave you the example. If x is 5, this is the case. If x is 22, this is the case. So what is determining, right, is that 6 factor is a constant factor. The value of x and raised to the power of 4 is what is going to be a matter which we should be considering as most significant. Durga Prakash, I don't know whether you are going to agree with me or still. It is just a compromise, Durga Prakash, or you are convinced? Oh, okay, sir. It gives me a feeling that ठीक है चलो तुम्हारी बात मान लेते हैं ऐसा तो नहीं है ना दुर्गा प्रकाश आई होप इट इज जस्ट नॉट ठीक है भाई तुमने बोला हमने सुन लिया ओके मान लेते चल आगे आई होप यू आर नॉट टोइंग दिस लाइन I hope you are convinced. I agree. 6 into whatever 2,34,256. Of course, but what is going to be the key factor? Is it the 6 or the x to the power of 4? Is it 6 or x to the power of 4? So, what we do? What we do? So, we reduce this 6 to x to the power of 4 further down to x to the power of 4. Further down to x to the power of 4. So thus this expression 6x to the power of 4 minus 2x cube plus 5 as far as big O notation is considered is big O x to the power of 4. Big O x to the power of 4. Right? So this is how arithmetic expression you are bringing down to a big O notation, and we are convinced that x to the power of 4 is the worst case which we should consider, and that's the key factor to be taken for the most significant part, taken as a most significant part. So mathematically, we can write fx as ox to the power of 4. So this fx, that is 6x to the power of 4 minus 2x to the power of 3 plus 5, right, is reduced to another function ox, right? The first function fx has been converted to another function called ox, right? So one may confirm this calculation using the normal definition, right? Using the normal definition. fx basically we started with this. fx basically we started with this, which we have converted to another function called as gx. We have reduced to, so this particular expression has been reduced to this because x to the power of 4 was creating the most significant difference as far as the calculation of this expression is concerned. So fx has been converted into gx. fx has been converted into gx. Okay, so this is what we are going to do by taking our some of the examples, right? Now, big O notation. I suppose students you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Any doubts so far? Any clarifications or doubts so far? Bugaram, you have not written anything. Is there anything which is troubling you? Something which is not understanding? fx depends on the code, sir. Yes, of course, fx. We are going to now take the examples where we are going to take different considerations, and this fx is the code. Now, presently, since all of you are engineering students, so firstly to start with, we have taken one arithmetic expression. But now this, your code, we are going to reduce into a arithmetic expression, which is a function. Okay, Bogaram. Show the previous slide. So the last two statement fx has been reduced to gx. Now original fx having three terms has been reduced to gx with the most significant term. Yogeshwar, uh, you are looking for this or anything else? Okay, okay, fine. So let me proceed further. So Big notation is used in computer science to describe the performance or complexity of an algorithm. The Big O specifically describes the worst case scenario, right? What was the worst case scenario? Out of the three terms, phi, 6, 6x4 minus 2x cube, phi plus phi. Ignore phi. Next was, ignore x cube. Next, x to the power of 4, right? So the worst case, right? Higher the value of x, the worst thing which is going to determine be significant is x4. Then some of the categories in which the algorithm can be bracketed. I'm coming to Bogaram, your point. Sir, are you converting the code into something like this, fx? Yes, Bogaram. Firstly, O1. For example, here let me give, I had mentioned this when we are considering what? Open hashing. In the open hashing, when we give an index, when we give an index to that hash function, you are getting an index value, and that index, at that index value, you have the key value pair, right? So straight away you give the index and tuck, my search operation is complete. Now compare this with selection sort. I put it in a loop. I need to run the loop n number of times and search for it. What the worst case? Unfortunately, the number which you are searching happens to be the last number, which is the worst case. There's some number which you are searching. Bogaram, I'm talking to you. The number which is you are searching is maybe the last number in the array or linked list or whatever. Then the loop has to run n times. So in this case, it becomes on. But with the hash function, I give an index and tuck, I found the value over there, the key and the value there, right? That is one category. Second, on, right? Big O notation on. Third, big O n square. Fourth, big O n to the power 2, etc., etc. There is big O n log n, there is big O log n, and others also, right? So keeping the clock in front of me, let me see another 10 minutes how much I'll be able to cover. Okay. So firstly, well, let's consider O1. Is this an example of O1, students? Now let me ask. Please wait, guys, please wait. Let me ask. Please take your hands off your keyboard. I would like to talk to somebody. Shreya, Shreya Ambati from CSCC. Are you there? Shreya Ambati, CSCC, or Shreya Shri from the same section? Shreya Ambati or Shreya Shri, are you there? Is this an example of O1? If yes, why? Shreya Ambati, Shreyashri, are you there? Sneha Srirampur. Boys and girls, please be little quick. Otherwise, this wait time is unnecessarily spoiling the good time of others. Shreya Ambati, Shreyashri, Sneha, Sneha Srirampur. How can you go? I know you are there. You are logged in. Faculty members of this class, please note the names of these students. If they are logged in, they should be active in the class. I feel very saddened if they are not responding in spite of calling them 3 times. Saurabh, J. Saurabh from CSCB. Yes, Tiwari, go ahead. I did not call your name. I did not call your name. Okay, but you are not able to hear me. You are not able to hear me. You are yourself are having problem with your internet. Uh, how can I help? I have put this on record. A recording is going on. Once your internet speed and connectivity improves, uh, Sai Tiwari, you can go through it again. You can go through it again. Okay. So the question is this an example of O1, right? Of course, this is. This function runs O1 times, right? Or O1 is what? Constant times, right? I give the what's happening. See, I am calling this function. I'm calling this function. I have passed the array, but what I am printing every time I call this function, every time I call this function, I'm printing the element which is at the index 0, right? It's going to happen only once. The input array could be one item, that is in the array, there may be one element, or there may be 1000 elements, right? There may be one element in this array, or there are 1000 elements in the array. Irrespective of that, I'm printing only the first, that is the element at index 0, right? So it is not depending on this fx. Fx is straight away converted to O1, because irrespective of what is the value of parameter which I am passing, that is the number of elements which are there in my array, the code is going to execute straight away once, and that too is going to print the element which is at index 0. So this is one example of O1. The other example which I have cited when we were considering open hashing, in which we are directly going to a particular key value element. Now let's consider ON. Let's consider ON. Now see the code. In this code, for I is equal to 0, I less than size, I plus plus, right? When I'm calling this function, I'm passing the array and I'm passing the size, right? So what I have done, I have boiled down this expression, I have boiled down my code to a O notation, On. And what is this N? N is nothing but the size. Size of what? Size of the array. Because the loop has to print each and every element. How many elements need to be printed? N number of elements. Therefore, there is kind of a linear relationship between the N, that is the number of elements, now the size of a array I'm passing, and the number of times the loop is iterating. The number of times the loop is iterating. So this is one example of your ON, where n is the size of an array. If the array has 10 items, we have to print 10 times. If the array has 1000 items, we have to print 1000 times. So straight away, it is depending on the value of n in a linear fashion. In a linear fashion. Now O n square. O n square. Now what is O n square? Is it an example of O n square? If yes, why? The names I am calling, they are not responding. I'm very saddened. This is not the way KMIT students respond. Because every step has corresponding n steps. Wow, very nicely put, Meghana Desai. For every I value, there are n values in the inner loop. It's not two loops. Two loops, I agree, but Raghavendra, printf is done by the first for loop for n times. Yeah. Uh, is it two loops which is making it n square? Arvin? D. Arvin? Not D. Arvin, Sudhendra. Is it two loops which is making it n square? What is making n square? Is it two loops? Yes, there are two loops. Uh, no, I'll give you the correct answer, but I'm just making you think. You are given an answer, but I'm slightly trying to understand that is it sufficient. Now see, we are talking about improving the performance, right? So thinking performance also is algorithm, right? So Sudhendra, what I'm trying to ask you, whenever there are two loops in a code, will it be n square? That's what my question is. Or how these two loops are placed is more important, or because there are two loops, it is n square always. Are you getting my question, Sudhendra? Right or wrong, will come to that. I definitely answer whether it is right or wrong. How the loops are placed is important. Very good. So yes, you have started tuning yourself. So now, how these loops are placed? Sudhendra, I'm interested in knowing your answer. Nested, right? Because it is nested, it is going to be n square times. Because it is nested, it is going to be n square times. Good. So what maybe Bhavana had, Meghana, I think, Meghana Desai, at first time itself, she said nested loops. So two loops and nested loops. Yes, both in nested loops also there are two loops, but where it is placed is very, very significant. Only if loops are nested. Yes, yes, Bhavana, I am with you. Okay, sir, got it. Right. So how we are nesting the two loops? How we are nesting the two loops? Right. Firstly, it is nested. Therefore, so if our array has n items, our outer loop runs n times. All of you agree, and our inner loop run n times for each iteration. Somebody was trying to explain me very correctly. Not that I have ignored you, student. I got your point. You are trying to very nicely explain. For one value of outer loop, n number of times the inner loop runs. Somebody quoted that. I liked it. I have seen it, and I appreciate it also. That's what I'm trying to explain it over here. the outer loop I value and inner loop j value. For one outer loop I value, the inner loop is running n times, right? So that's what. So this makes us n square. This makes us n square of total prints. This makes us n square of total prints. Therefore, this function, Raghavendra, I hope you are trying to uh, understand when you ask me that are you going to convert the code into fx, right? Raghavendra, are you there? Are we converting our code into something called fx? There are so many things in the code, but we are picking up the most significant because we are considering the worst case. What is going to exponentially increase? What is going to exponentially increase the time is what we are focusing on. Is what we are focusing on. So this is a quadratic times the thing is happening. Now let me take this example. 2n, 2 to the power of n, 2 to the power of n. Now there are, this is a recursion, and in this recursion, I am calling the Fibonacci function, right? So this Fibonacci function is going to be because this function plus this function. So recursively, since we are going to call this, therefore, in this particular scenario, though there are no loops, in this particular scenario, though there are no loops, but this is an example of 2 to the power of n. This is an example of 2 to the power of n. Function is the recursive calculation of Fibonacci number, and O2 to the power of n denotes an algorithm whose growth doubles with each addition of the input data. Right? Now, because there are two calls, a call here and a call here, and every time the value of n is going to increase by 1, this is going to affect 2 to the power of n times. If it is 1, it is 2. If it is 2, it is 4. If it is 3, it is going to be 8 in this fashion. So the growth curve of 2 to the power of n function is exponentially starting off very slow, then rising meteorically, right? Students, are you okay? Now see, coming to Sudhendra. Now see here, in this there are two loops. In this again there are two loops. There's a one for loop here and another for loop here, right? So Sudhendra, where the loops are placed, just blindly we can't say there are two loops, so make it n square. There are two loops, so make it n square. So this is an example of what? Guesses? Any guesses? Meghna Desai. My hit list: Aman Singh Jolly, Meghna Desai, Jay Shankar, Rohan, Owen, Owen. This loop is running size times. This loop is running size times. Any variation? I'm waiting for some more. Oh, Upadhyay is saying 2n. And Ashit Sai, 2n. Bhavana, 2n. I'm not getting answer from Meghna Desai. It doesn't want to answer, looks like. Anyway, so without wasting time, uh, it is 2n because this is 2n, this is n number of times plus n number of times, n number of times and plus n number of times. So independently this is running n times and independently this is n times. Therefore, it is not becoming n square, but it is becoming 2n, right? So students, I'm stopping here. There is one small quiz for you. So I hand over the class to Shankar sir, and please take the quiz. Once again, my appeal to the faculties, I have been taking names. Randomly, I'm going to take names of the students. So please, I minus minus will not affect because n value has gone up to n in this loop. Suppose this size is 10. So by the time I come out, the size has become 10, right? The size has become 10. So from 10 to 9, it is reducing. From 10 to 9, it is reducing. Therefore, it is running Meghna. Right. So this is what is your big O notation. And 2 is a constant. Yeah, 2 is a constant. But suppose, of course, 2 is a constant. Good point, Saurabh. 2 is a constant. Good point. But suppose I have such loops. Now there's 2 loops, there's 3 loops. So that is the time it is going to be a factor. This 2, 3, 4 is, this time it is 2, but it is directly related to this 2. The 2 is most significant. Like such, there are 10 for loops. The 10 is going to be constant, but 10 becomes significant there. Saurabh, your point is valid. Your point is valid. 2 is constant or 10 is constant, but that constant is not, it's a classic example where that constant cannot be normalized here. That constant cannot be normalized here. Okay, but point well taken. Right. So I'm signing off. Yeah, On plus On is O2N. Right. You're right. Yes. Yes, Raghavendra. Can we take your question in the next class, Raghavendra? There's a quiz which is coming up. Okay. Right. So thank you, students. We'll see you on Wednesday. क्विज असती तो 10 मिनिटं घेतो.